all there is now.
Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
Was Star Wars the one with the little wizard boy?
Welcome to Rogue One Radio, your source for sweet jams and conversations about a galaxy far, far away. And now, from the remnants of Jeddah City, it's Rogue One Radio.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Rogue One Radio. This is episode 26. I am your co-host, Steve, and with me is Charlie.
How's it going Steve. How are we doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing good. So, what's been going on in the world of Charlie lately?
Well, lots of work to try to get stuff done before our holiday break.
Yeah.
I get Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off, so that's
nice.
That's a good thing. I spent the weekend doing a round of podcasts, so that's always fun. It keeps me sharp and on my game for our show here.
Yeah.
Games. I started playing the Mafia trilogy again.
That's a video game?
Yes, it's on the PS4. They came out with a definitive edition one, so it's all remastered and extra maps and story. So I'm about 3/4 of the way through the first game, set in the 1930s. Then you have one that's set in the 1950s. And then the third one is set in the 1960s. So that's pretty cool. Kind of a blast from the past. I've been playing that. I really haven't been reading much other than the Harry Potter series to get tuned back up for our trip that the family's making.
Yeah.
When we go to Harry Potter World and Universal Studios. Other than that, it's Fast and Furious week.
Yeah. No, I've never played the Mafia game. I am still playing the first Watch Dogs. Although I think I might actually be almost done. I just get this feeling that it's getting really close to the end.
Good deal.
I got to the point where I just killed the mob boss.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's other things going on, but I think I'm getting close to the end. As far as what else is, guys, I downloaded The Last of Us, and I also downloaded the Ezio collection of Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually just recently found out that there were DLCs for Skyrim. So I ended up repurchasing Skyrim. I own it on a disc, but I'm in the I'm getting closer to the idea of just going all digital.
Yeah.
So I actually repurchased Skyrim with all the DLCs. And that one's not even finished downloading. But then I think there's a new Fallout 76 update that just hit today, so I will probably try to download that too, although I don't see much. I don't see myself playing Fallout too much in the near future right now, because I've got so much else that I've downloaded. As far as reading, I haven't been doing a whole lot of reading except for comic books. There was a new Darth Vader comic that came out. I want to say last week. Maybe it's been 2 weeks. Read that, and then there was a new Star Wars Bounty Hunters that came out. I don't know if you're following that one.
Yeah, I really haven't gotten much into the comics. The last one that I was kind of reading was the Vader comic that was coming out. That kind of had to tie into Queen's Peril, and Queen's Shadow. But that's the last that I've really gotten into that. I've gotten so far out of comics. There's really not a comic book store around here, other than, I don't even think Walmart sells comics anymore. But here in this little sleepy town of Roswell, there's really no place to get them. So I'd have to buy them online or travel 4 hours to Albuquerque to go up to the comic book shop.
I actually went digital with my comic books. I still own quite a few, physical comics, but earlier this year I made the decision to go digital. So everything that I get, I download onto my iPad.
Oh, okay.
But there's a service out there called Comixology that I get everything through. I've got a subscription with them, so I don't have to worry about going to the store that's probably not open anyway. So
right.
So I've just been reading Star Wars comics, and I don't think I really haven't been reading anything else. But so that's what's been going on. Like you were saying, work. I don't get Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I do get Thursday and Friday off. But I did just find out yesterday that our stay from home order from the company has been extended out to March.
Oh, wow.
So it will, at this point, it will have been a year since I have gone to the office. So, yeah. So today, this week's episode, we're going to be doing a recap of Chapter 12 of The Mandalorian, The Siege. I think we're going to talk a little bit, just briefly, on the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. We've got our top 5 list coming up later in the show. Got some questions that we're going to answer from one of our listeners. And then we've actually got some news to discuss as well. So we'll get into that after our first music break. This is a song that I actually just found today. It is a Thanksgiving song by a local musician here in the Oklahoma City area. And his band is called Tracy Street and the Go-Getter 500 Band. He sent me I guess this is a brand new song that he recorded specifically for the Thanksgiving holiday, and he let me listen to it, and I said, "Hey, we're coming close to Thanksgiving. Why don't we have a Thanksgiving song on the show?" And he said, "Sure, play it." So here we are. We're going to play "Over for the Holidays" by Tracy Street and the Go-Getter 500 Band.
When you're living alone and your family is miles away.
All right, that was the Thanksgiving song "Over for the Holidays" by Tracy Street and the Go Getter 500 Band. Man, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, but it was a great song. I'm glad you led off with that one.
Yeah, it's a fun one. So we got some more good tunes later in the show, but for now, we're going to jump into some news. The first piece of news that I have is regarding Dune. There was, they're going to be doing another movie, another adaptation of that, but it looks like that one's been pushed out for a year or two. But while we're waiting, a company called Abrams Comic Arts is putting out a graphic novel trilogy of Dune, and according to the reports, it is what they refer to as a straightforward adaptation. So it's actually going to be faithful to the source material. It is written by Brian Herbert, who I'm guessing is Frank Herbert's son or grandson. The article that I read from CBR.com did not necessarily say, but I'm guessing. But it was written by Brian Herbert, Kevin Anderson, Raul Allen, and Patricia Martin. And so far, they have only released book one, which is the first in a planned trilogy of the 1965 novel. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I've actually never made it through the entire book. I keep planning to, but I never get around to it. So maybe this will, if this is really faithful, maybe I will have actually read it through a graphic novel.
Oh yeah, he's kind of like Tolkien. He tends to get a little wordy and really explore the little intricacies that are around, and sometimes that makes it a little hard to read. But once you get past those pieces, it really flows together well.
Yeah. So that'll be an interesting read. Another comic book that is coming out is Volume 3 of Batman Earth 1. I don't know if you know anything about the Earth 1. I don't know if you call that a series. I guess you could call that a series. Earth 1 series basically is a kind of a retelling of some of DC's major superheroes. They've got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Teen Titans, and Green Lantern. So it's kind of a if anybody knows what I'm talking about, it's kind of like Marvel did with their Ultimate Universe.
Oh, okay.
This is kind of the same thing. It's just Earth 1. So Batman Earth 1 Volume 3 finally has a release date. Returning to the fold is writer Jeff Johns and artist Gary Frank. So I'm really looking forward to that. And the release date has been announced as June 8th. Which
Nice.
Definitely a long ways off, but I'm glad that they actually have a release date. Of all the Earth 1 books, the Batman ones are by far my favorite. Really, really good. The Superman ones are actually pretty good too.
Yeah, that's I don't know. It's kind of one of the things that's really thrown me off of the DC universe. I like some individual things, but trying to keep track of which storyline is which, and whether it's Flashpoint or pre-Flashpoint, or they just and that in the movies. Every time that you turn around for a Batman movie, they're retelling the same story, and it just kind of it just kind of gets overwhelming. And for those that don't follow it religiously, they kind of get lost and a little left behind.
I can see that.
I mean, how many? Yes, I understand actors need, or roles need to get recast, such as, say like Superman, where you have, Christopher Reeve, can't do it anymore. So you have to have somebody else in there. But, to retell the story, basically the same story with 3 different actors within, say, a 5-6 year span. It's like, all right, well, which story is this? Which timeline is this? It just kind of gets confused and muddled.
It's all just different stories by different storytellers. Let's see, what else is going on? There was an announcement, not a whole lot to say about it, but there was an announcement that Wonder Woman 1984 is going to be released in theaters and on HBO Max this Christmas. So you can go see it in the theater, or if you don't want to get out, you're cautious of that, you can watch it on HBO Max this Christmas. So that's cool. I've actually been looking forward to that movie. Speaking of DC, actually. I will, the theater in our area is almost never full. I mean, I've been to the theater actually 3 times since the coronavirus has hit. The first 2 times, there were about 6 people in the theater. So we were very well spread out.
Mm-hmm.
And then this last time I went was actually I rented it out for a private screening. It was my wife's birthday, and for her birthday I rented out a private screening of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah, that is her favorite Christmas movie. So basically, it was us and my kids. And then my mom and a couple other members of the family. So there were probably in all about 13 people there, 13 or 14. Again, all spread out. So I'm probably going to go see it in the theater because I'm not really concerned about it being all that crowded.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about other theaters in the area, but that one just isn't very crowded. Not anywhere near crowded as it normally is. But yeah, if you want to avoid the movie theater, subscribe to HBO Max and watch it for Christmas.
And it's not like what Disney Plus did with live action Mulan, where they charged you $30 to get it. It's actually because you have the subscription, you get to watch it with your subscription rather than having to pay that extra over the top cost.
Yeah. And I have HBO Max. I've probably had it for a couple of months. And actually the reason that I subscribed to HBO Max has to do with the next piece of news that I'm going to bring up. Also about HBO Max, and this is an update for the soon-to-be, who knows how soon, HBO Max series Green Lantern. Not tied to the movie Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. This is a completely different retelling.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah. It's actually produced by Greg Berlanti, who is the creator of the Arrowverse.
Okay.
I'm not sure who the showrunner is. I haven't seen any of that. But as far as already they've announced that it's going to feature Simon Baz, Jessica Cruz, Kilowog, and Sinestro. If I'm remembering correctly from the very first announcements, it's also, the main characters are going to be Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. But the update that just recently came out is that there is a new casting update for other characters that we didn't really expect to see. So this show is definitely going to feature multiple Green Lanterns. The new updates indicate that we are going to get to see Guy Gardner, Alan Scott, and then somebody named Bree Jarta, who I don't think, if memory is not serving me, I don't remember anybody in the comics named Bree Jarta. And based on the article that I read from the Illuma Nerd Eye, it does not seem to indicate whether or not she is an existing comic character or not. So it'll be, I may have to do some research and find out, but that name does, I've read a lot of Green Lantern, and that name does not sound familiar. So yeah, HBO Max Green Lantern series update. Another HBO Max series that we've just learned about. HBO is going to be partnering with Sony Television to produce a series based on the video game The Last of Us. And it will focus on the events of the original game with Joel and Ellie. So far, there are not any other details as far as casting or any kind of release or production date. I've never played the game yet. I have, it's one of those that I've downloaded that I'll probably start after I'm done with Watch Dogs. But I've heard a lot of really good things about that game. I've heard that, a lot of people that I know have played it and really like it. So I'm looking forward to playing it and see if it's going to be an interesting TV show.
It was a good game. I really enjoyed that part of it. Then they put in a multiplayer aspect of it, which I never really got into either. But as far as plot and everything, a really good story. I thought they were going to make a full-length feature film. Was the last rumor I heard on that, but that was a couple of years ago. I have played Last of Us Part 2. Was not as impressed with it as I was the first one, but it was still an interesting game. But yeah, it's a series makes a little bit more sense, especially given the success that Walking Dead has had. I'm sure that they can pull a lot of, I don't want to say inspiration, but qualities that made that successful. And since they've already had a show similar that's kind of dwindled in fan base, they could figure out, all right, well, this is why it's kind of lacking. We won't make that same mistake. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think just either last episode or a couple episodes ago, didn't we announce something about an Assassin's Creed TV show?
We talked that they were talking about doing one, but they really haven't. I haven't seen much about that yet.
Yeah, I'm checking my previous show notes. It shouldn't have been too far back. Okay, maybe it was further back than I thought. I remember us talking about it though. Netflix is doing it. We talked about that back on episode 23. So Netflix is considering a live action Assassin's Creed. So part of this article had mentioned that The Last of Us is not the only video game that HBO Max has their sights on for doing a show. So it'd be interesting to see what type of games they're going to to start doing, because we already know that if memory serves me, it's Amazon that is developing a Fallout TV series.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. There's so many of them coming out. It's hard to keep them all straight, but yeah, it should be interesting to see what they do. Next, real quick news. Not really a whole lot of information about it. It's just an announcement that I read on CBR.com that Star Wars Squadrons is releasing an update that will add a B-wing and TIE defenders.
Yes, that comes out tomorrow.
Right. I was not as into the multiplayer dogfight portion of that game, but the fact that there's going to be TIE defenders, it may lean me into to getting in there, because I really like the TIE fighters in those games.
Absolutely, yeah, and they've done a really good job with it. I'm still having a little bit of trouble with, say, matchmaking on that. I don't get to play it as often as I like, and I'm below 10th level, but I'm constantly getting matched up with people that are 20, 25, I believe was the one I saw yesterday, and I'm like, why in the world am I getting, because the more levels that you get, the more things you can unlock, upgraded guns and things like that, and different perks for your ship, color schemes and whatnot. So it seems like, it's, why would I be matched up with somebody that has obviously played a lot more of the game than I have?
Right.
But it's still fun to get around and fly around in. It's I have a 65-inch television and with the surround sound, and there's nothing like feeling like you're in the cockpit of your favorite starfighter, and being able to see it up close and have that surround sound blasting in your ears.
Yeah, definitely. The next two items I have are both rumors. One of them is there is a rumor of the run times for the next two Mandalorian episodes. Based on this rumor, Chapter 13 is going to be 45 minutes long, and Chapter 14 are going to be 32 minutes long. This rumor comes from a source called FSK, which is basically the German version of the MPAA. So somewhat credible, I guess. But yeah, if the next one is 45 minutes long, that will make it the longest of the Dave Filoni directed episodes.
If some of the rumors that I've heard are true, they're going to need every bit of that time to kind of explain what's going on. So it'll be amazing to see, and we only have a few more days to really find out.
You're absolutely right. Just a few days away from the next episode, from Mando Friday. Last one I have, this rumor is, I found the article on Star Wars News Net. The rumor itself comes from The Direct, which is an online news site I'd never actually heard of before. But according to this, the as of yet untitled Boba Fett miniseries is supposed to take place between Return of the Jedi and The Mandalorian, which, credible or not, it just makes sense. Why would they go with any other? Why would they go with any other time period, especially with Morrison playing the role of Boba Fett?
Right.
It wouldn't make sense to go back any earlier, unless, like you were mentioning, if they brought in Daniel Logan to do some younger, like flashbacks and whatnot.
Yeah, that's definitely possible, and I mean, and who knows? They still could, but yeah, that's exactly right where I picture it being. Is that it'll be we'll see what's going on in the neck of the woods, and I wouldn't even be surprised if we might catch a glimpse or two from season 1 of the Mandalorian, because if I remember reading right, they said it was between Return of the Jedi and episode or season 2. So they could always add in something from a distance or a relative shot that would remind you, what it could be. So
yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit. It doesn't. They've got so much that they could work with. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's it for news, unless you had anything that you needed to that I must have missed.
No, we covered every bit of it, I believe.
So we had quite a bit of news today.
Yeah, a lot. It's a lot better than the last few weeks that we've had, where it's we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Definitely.
Just trying to see if there was anything that I might have missed. Yeah, about the only other thing that I saw was whether or not Daisy Ridley would return to the franchise at some point. Mm-hmm. And she kind of, she said she enjoyed her experience, but kind of put the kibosh on that. The surprising part was it also referenced another article that John Boyega did. And he would not want to do a live action series, but he seemed like he would be open to doing an animated series if one was ever developed.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. I could see that. All right, so we're going to take another music break, and then we're going to get into talk maybe a little Lego Star Wars holiday special, but most importantly, talk about the next or the most recent chapter of The Mandalorian. So for this music break, we are playing a song from the Nashville, Tennessee-based band Benchmarks. This is from an album they recently released called Summer Slowly. It was released just back in August. And the name of the song is Our Finest Hour.
I'm committed but conflicted, contradicted but confirmed, in knowing that I know that I have so much left to learn. A purveyor of the problem, out here trying to solve myself, feeling discrepancy between what I have seen and what I've felt. We're all searching for our own versions of heaven over hell, but nothing really changes till we decide to change ourselves. And I won't settle and watch the world burn from up here in the cheap seats, but right now I know that I still need to listen before I speak. I was born a microphone and all I want to do is sing. But does this world even need another song from one like me? If all the world's indeed a stage, then we are merely overplayed. Wanna sing the song that helps the unsung singers have their say. We're all searching for our own versions of heaven over hell, nothing really changes till we decide to change ourselves. And I won't settle to watch the world burn from up here in the cheap seats. But right now I know that I still need to listen before I speak. Peel the summer off my shoulders, let the cold cover my skin, and cast away my comfort, let the change begin. And in our finest hour, let me stand up by your side. I wanna do what's right while I still have the time. We're all searching for our own versions of heaven over hell, but nothing really changes till we decide to change ourselves. And I won't settle to watch the world burn from up here in the cheap seats. But right now I know that I still need to listen before I speak.
Hey everyone, this is Todd Hoffman from WSTR Galactic Public Access. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we are celebrating our 200th episode, and it's coming up very soon, and we need your help. So how can you do that? Simple. Just send us your transmission over at mailbox@wstrmedia.com, or you can leave us a voicemail, 630-557-9787. That's 630-557-9787. Yeah, we started this podcast way back in December of 2016, right around when Rogue One was releasing, and now we are getting up to that 200th episode, and we can't be more excited to do this. And we want to just celebrate it with our podcast family, our Star Wars family. We can't be more happier to be part of the Red 5 Network, and we would love to have all your voicemails, all your emails. And the other way you could do it is just tweet us, whatever, at WSTR Media. We'll take them all, and we just want to celebrate with the family as we have a big, 200th celebration, and we can't be more excited than in Star Wars and everything that's going on. We are looking to do 200 more, so we just need your help as we near this 200th episode. Again, just email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com or voicemail 630-557-9787. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the support on the socials. We couldn't do it without you. And we love you guys, and may the force be with you always.
All right, that was our finest hour from Benchmarks. So, if you're just joining us, which wouldn't make any sense at all, this is Rogue One Radio. This is episode 26. And we are going to be talking about Chapter 12 of The Mandalorian. Before we jump into that, though, let's talk just briefly about the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. I thought it was fun. It was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely, a lot of people were, oh, this is canon. No, the Lego stuff has never really been canon. It just includes characters that are in there. It was a fun story. It was just Star Wars and Lego and having fun. That's the name of the game, and they did it well.
I think my favorite thing about the special, oddly enough, was the depiction of the Emperor.
Yeah, that
was-
was
Just silly.
yeah, the whole the thing that got me was the mug.
Yeah,
And yeah,
that was hilarious. Galaxy's
the-
best emperor. I'm the only emperor.
yeah, that was amazing. So yeah, I thought that they worked it out well and went back and fixed everything in the timeline. And so yeah, it's lots of humor, lots of bits and pieces in there to unpack. Another one of my favorite parts were the three Kenobis saying hello there at the same time. That was
Yeah. Yeah. Now, in case anybody is interested, you can buy a Galaxy's Best Emperor mug through a website called Redbubble. However, I'm looking at this and it talks about the Lego Holiday Special. Oh, you know what? It doesn't say Lego. It just says Holiday Special. It doesn't look like the mug from the show because it doesn't have the weird language on it.
oh okay.
But if anybody, I think if Star Wars is not capitalizing on making a Galaxy's Best Emperor mug to tie in with that show, they have lost.
Oh, absolutely.
I would buy one. All right, so Mandalorian Chapter 12, The Siege. Initial reaction.
It was absolutely amazing.
Very good.
It had everything that I would ever want to see in a television or Star Wars series, all rolled into one.
Yeah. So yeah, I really liked it. I wouldn't say that I liked it more than I liked Chapter 11. But I will say that I liked it more than I liked Chapter 10. If I've got my episodes right. Episode 10 was the one where they went to the ice planet.
Yes.
And got attacked by the spiders. Okay. Yeah. So, but it was a good episode. Do you want to go over the brief plot synopsis, or do you want me to?
Go for it.
Okay.
I don't have it pulled up here in front of me.
So, not surprisingly, he is basically close to dead in space. And he doesn't go to Tatooine for repairs, which is what I thought he was going to do. So everybody can say that Steve was wrong. But he does go to Navarro. So he goes to Navarro to get repairs, meets up with Greef Karga and Cara Dune, and they're going to repair a ship. And then they recruit him to help them out with a little problem with the Imperials. To basically destroy an Imperial base that is left over. So he goes to the base, helps them out. Turns out that the base is actually a lab. And so, making it short and sweet, they blow up the lab and they head back to town after they blow up the lab. So that's a real brief plot synopsis with not a whole lot of, not trying to stay away from the spoilers, but if you're listening to this show, you're got to expect spoilers.
Oh, absolutely.
But I wanted to leave a lot of the details to the rest of our discussion. Were there any, what were the highlights in the show for you? Like, what were the really cool takeaways?
Oh man, where to start? Well, we get to see Cara and Greef again, which is always a plus. I really enjoyed a chase scene that they had in there. Anytime that you can throw in Imperial speeder bikes is a good day.
Oh man, that was
Yeah,
that was
and then some TIE fighters, on top of that. And the homage that they gave to so many recognizable shots
mhm.
that they had with previous movies was just absolutely outstanding. And in fact, you and I were talking while I was watching it, and I was typing to you because you had already seen it before. And I was like, oh, so I'm kind of confused by this. And then, then I started watching a little more closely, and I'm like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. And I just kept going on and on. There's so many things. I almost half heard dialogue in my head from previous movies just because the scenes were set up just to remind you of that particular shot. It was just so good. And then the last shot that you see of the episode absolutely blew my mind. And I think we'll get into that here in a little bit as well.
Oh yeah. I loved the action sequences, particularly with the speeder bikes and the TIE fighters. Like you, I was really glad to see Grief Karga and Cara Dune again. And, surprisingly, I was actually pleased to see the Mythrol again. I thought it was cool that they put him in there.
I'll yeah.
I get it. Yeah, he's kind of the Jar Jar Binks of the Mandalorian.
I liked him in the first one, but it was a small dose that you get to see him, and even by the end of the episode, it's just even his humor was just kind of, all right, yeah, you're funny, all right, yeah, move along, just, somebody freeze him already or something.
Yeah.
And then to see him come back, I was just, couldn't they have found another character or something that we haven't seen before, to fill that role? But they went with it, and that's fine.
Well, I thought it was funny when the Mandalorian first walks into that building, and the steam comes out of his neck.
Oh yeah,
that was great. Let's see. So, was there anything about the episode that disappointed you?
Oh, other than Mithril? Not really. I can't say that I was really disappointed in there. One of the things that did surprise me is we did finally get to see the child use his Force abilities.
That's right.
It's the first time we've seen it so far this season.
Yep, he uses his Force abilities to steal space cookies.
Yeah, just to steal the blue milk covered Oreos.
Yes.
Thank you, Cam Ray, for that.
Yeah, that was great. I would say, as far as disappointments, I actually would have liked to have seen more of the classroom. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more things going on in the little classroom with the child.
Yeah.
Overall, the episode could have been a tad longer. Because at some point in the siege itself, it felt like it started to get a little rushed.
Yeah. I could see that.
So if they would have added, maybe just 5-10 more minutes, it wouldn't have felt as rushed. But that's just nitpicking, really.
There really wasn't much lot. I mean, not a lot to be disappointed about. This whole season so far has just been such a fun ride. I really haven't found too much to be disappointed with throughout any of the episodes.
Yeah, I agree. Were there any Easter eggs that you noticed? I didn't. None of them jumped out at me, if there were any.
Well, there were a few. We get yet another scene of the child in his soup. At the very beginning of the episode, when there's a creature or a group of creatures that are ransacking the armorer's forge area, that Cara Dune comes in and saves the day. Those creatures were Aqualish, and it's the same creature that was at the bar on Tatooine that Obi-Wan chopped his arm off.
Yep.
So it was cool to see that creature again.
Yeah. It was with the lava meerkat.
I'm not sure. I really didn't see much on that.
I could see Disney's hand all over that.
Yeah. And they've had some little small creatures in every episode as well.
Yeah.
So there's always been something small and animalistic in every episode. Whether it was the little T-Rex one that they shot, or this little meerkat-looking one. One of my kids said, "Look, it's Timon."
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, the droid that was in the classroom. They were going through all the known trade routes. So they're talking, from planet to planet or system to system, and connecting those dots. They were going over all the different trade routes that were known at that time.
Yeah.
The Mithril, kind of referenced the hibernation sickness when he said he could barely see out of his left eye.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Had the land speeder shot as they were going out. That reminded me a lot of the speeder shots we got in A New Hope.
Yep.
Dank Ferrick was said again, and we still haven't said what it is yet, but this is the third episode that includes that phrase. So that was pretty interesting. The hologram from Dr. Preshing had used the phrase M count, and we figured that's probably is talking about the midichlorian count. And he even talks about, that, the sample size was small and only got a small amount of blood. But during that confrontation, after, all the smoke clears and they look in that background, you see that tank and it's got something in it. A lot of chatter that they're thinking that could possibly be a first edition type Snoke character.
I've heard that too. Yeah. There was a creature, call it what you want, in there that kind of had some scars that looked like it may have been a first generation Snoke. But this did set up why they are looking for the child. It
yes.
Finally explained why they're looking for the child.
I was just when I saw that, I mean, my first thought was, well, all right, so they're cloning something. It explains the Camino emblems on the doctor's arm.
Right.
So they are trying to do something. But is this all part of Operation Cinder? Is this something that is, that's been going on for a while? Are they even aware of what they're doing? Because at this point, the Emperor is dead. The Empire is scattered. So there's a few groups that are out there. So do they even realize what they're doing?
Right.
I also had a thought of maybe they're trying to do, and this is going to borrow from DC a little bit, but borrow from like a Bane mystique, where they're using a Force-sensitive blood to create a serum to do a super soldier.
Yeah.
So that was a thought as well, and that I'll mention that here in just a minute as well. Another Easter egg, well, not really Easter egg, but kind of repeating pattern. The New Republic pilot is the same one that we saw in the episode with the spiders.
That's right.
He puts down a New Republic medallion for Kara if she wants to take it up.
That actually looked like a medal. Because having served time in the armed forces, there was a little. I recognized like an armed forces ribbon, or something similar to it toward the bottom of that medallion.
Yeah, right underneath the logo, it was red and white.
Yeah, so it could have been a medal. So yeah, we got a lot of really cool stuff out of this episode, and it's really setting up. They're really doing a good job setting up the rest of the season, and getting us thirsty for more. One thing I wanted to mention, it's not really necessarily about this episode. In fact, it's not about this episode at all. But the fact that we now know why they're looking for the child, it does bring up a question. What was the child doing with the Niktos in the first place? Who put them there?
That's a very good question. It's I'm not sure. It hasn't been explained. My first thought was, that he was the captor of someone else, and they wanted more money or something. It was in my headcanon anyway. And so, and they weren't playing ball, so they sent somebody after him to go get it. And, given his reputation, no questions or whatever, hey, go pick up this package and bring it to me. We never have gotten that explanation, but who knows? Perhaps we'll get that here in the next few episodes. I mean, there's only 4 left for this season.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Any closing thoughts about the episode?
Well, I have one more Easter egg.
Oh, okay.
The very last shot where we see Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
And he's sporting some new armor.
He is.
And man, that is it's a good looking set of armor. But with that, with his cape and the armor on and the lights on it, reminded me an awful lot of Vader. not quite as bright or as many lights, but just that imposing dark figure with the black armor and the cape.
Yeah.
And then when he says, "We will be ready," and they pan back and they show the transport, and it's full of the Dark Trooper.
Yeah.
And the Dark Trooper we haven't seen in a while. In fact, it was in the Star Wars Dark Forces game, which is non-canon. But they also put it in a couple of like Star Wars Commander. Which is another.
They looked like from the mobile game Star Wars Commander, which isn't even really. I don't think it's a game anymore. I think they shut it down. But yeah, they did remind me of that. It's going to be interesting to see what those things bring us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Anything with the Department of Military Research is normally bad news for any of the good guys.
Yeah, really. So do you have any closing remarks about the episode? Anything that's that we haven't brought up previously that needs to be mentioned?
Well, I just thought they did a good job in this one. We've seen a lot of action in some episodes. We've seen a lot of filling in of the blanks on what's going on and storytelling in some of the episodes. But this one really felt like it merged the two together. There was a lot of questions that were answered, some more questions asked that drive the story, and plenty of action to satisfy anybody that is just an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, it was great. And we mentioned it before, but it was just really good to see Grief Karga and Cara Dune again. There's a lot out in the community that thinks she needs to be fired. I am not one of them. I think she does a great job in her role, and it was just good to see her again. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that Carl Weathers, who plays Grief Karga, actually directed this episode.
Yeah, it was his directorial debut.
So he did a really good job, I thought.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so that was our recap of Mandalorian Chapter 12. We are going to talk about our top 5 lists and answer some questions from you right after our last music break. This band is called North Alone. They're actually from Germany. They just released an album. Well, I say just. They released an album back in January of this year called Punk is Dad. And this is a song from that album called Too Young.
You don't need a touchscreen unless you are 13. You won't get a smartphone till your facial hair is grown. You don't need a PlayStation, stay we go on vacation wherever you want to go. You're much too young, you're much too young, you're much too young for this, my son. You're much too young, you're much too young. Go to the outside, enjoy the sun. Social media, I tell you it won't please you, cause it's not important to make virtual friends. What about doing some sports? I will buy you a skateboard, cause broken nose are no problem when you can watch adult content. You're much too young, you're much too young, you're much too young for this, my son. You're much too young, you're much too young. Go to the outside, enjoy the sun. do the echo, listen to a vinyl record, cause the music that I like wasn't made for Spotify. Without the cover or booklet, these are the songs people forget. Better listen to some punk music instead. You're much too young, you're much too young, you're much too young for this, my son. You're much too young, you're much too young, to the outside enjoy the sun. You're much too young, you're much too young, you're much too young for this, my son. You're much too young, you're much too young, go to the outside, enjoy the sun.
Right, that was Too Young by Germany's North Alone. Fun song. And we are on to our top 5 list of this episode. This week we will be discussing our top 5 favorite starfighters. Starfighters. That could be a little bit subjective as to what a starfighter is, but it gives us a good baseline to go with. So you're not really going to, at least not on my list, you're not going to see anything like a Star Destroyer or a Mon Calamari cruiser. My list is kind of confined to smaller vessels.
Yeah, as is mine. Yeah, I kind of bounced some ideas. I had Vader's ship on there to start with, and then I was like, you know what, that's really not a starfighter. So I went back and redid the list a little bit as well.
Very good. All right, well, let's hear your number 5.
All right, so I had one in there, and then I told you I'd have a bonus starfighter, because this one I am not sure if it is canon or not, and normally we just stick with things that are canon, but my number 6 would be the Outrider, piloted by Dash Rendar.
Okay, yeah.
That was the Shadow of the Empire was an important series for me, whether it was the book or the video game or even the soundtrack that they came out with it. At the time, there was no other Star Wars stuff that was really out or for the foreseeable future, and so this was what we were going to get, and and I really soaked it up. I thought it was absolutely an amazing ship. I loved the character. But again, I didn't know if that counted. So my number 5.
There was actually a comic book adaptation of that too.
Oh yeah, there was. Yeah, man, I would have loved to have seen that in live action.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, so number 5.
So my number 5 is one from the Rebels TV show, and that would be The Ghost.
Oh man, that should have been my number 5. Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, definitely a great ship, great crew, great show. Oh wow, I can't believe I even forgot about that one. Wow. My number 5 was actually IG 2000. The starfighter piloted by the bounty hunter droid IG-88.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, a very, very cool, sleek looking ship. Mostly seen in the comic books. It's a really cool ship. And yeah, I would like to see that brought into live action. I would love to see a live action version of the IG 2000.
Hey, never say never. You never. They could always bring back another IG droid, and they could pilot it.
They could. They could.
All right. Number 4. Number 4 for me is the Razor Crest.
Are you kidding me? That's my number 4 too. That's such a cool ship.
It's got everything. I had originally had Razor Clash / Slave One, but I took Slave One off of there because I just think, especially with the as much as we've seen it in the Mandalorian series, it kind of takes precedence over that. But it's got the fighting capabilities. It has the transport, the carbonite chamber that's already built into it. It's definitely has some character. That's my number 4.
And I decided that was one of my favorite starfighters after seeing this most recent episode. Just some of the stuff that it did, it was like, oh, that is so cool. That was my number 4 too.
Awesome. All right, number 3, and I'm probably going to catch some flack for this one. The X-Wing fighter. Yes, all the way down to number 3.
Are you sure you weren't looking at my list? My 3 is X-Wing fighter too.
Well, we see so many of them, whether it's Red Squadron or Blue Squadron or Gold or whichever one that they want to put them in. They've done so well with it. It's just a great ship.
Oh yeah, it is definitely the workhorse of the Rebellion and the New Republic. My number 3 was X-Wing too.
Nice.
Well, I doubt that your number 2 and my number 2 are going to be the same.
Oh, I don't know. Probably not. My number 2, Millennium Falcon.
Okay.
So, what more needs to be said other than the name?
It's a great ship.
The possibly the most recognized, most well-known ship in all of the galaxy.
Yeah.
It can do it all, and she might not look like much, but she's got it where it counts.
Yep. And I tell you, one of the best sequences in The Force Awakens is when they pull the tarp off of that thing. And she said, "Oh, that's just garbage." Okay, I guess we're gonna have to take the garbage. And, seeing that the Falcon again, it was really good to see a piece of the old trilogy, in The Force Awakens. So it's a really great ship. That one was not my number 2. My number 2. You actually mentioned earlier, for me, is a Slave One. I love that ship. I've got a toy of it sitting. It's in my closet, but I've got a toy of it, and it's always been one of my favorite ships. Be it a starfighter or any type. If we just did a list of favorite ships, across the board, it would probably still be in the top 5. I love that ship. The fire spray is just the coolest design. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is a good ship. It's got a lot of awesome qualities. Just the way that it flies, the sonic torpedoes that it has. The turrets for its laser fire were absolutely amazing. They did it. That was a great ship, and that's why I kind of put it in there. To me, that and the Razor Crest are about equal. They're very similar type ships, but I had to put Razor Crest.
Razor Crest is a great ship. But let's hear your number one.
My number one, and I had to lump this one in as a group because
Oh boy, I have a very strong feeling that our number ones are the same.
whether it's its characteristic howl as it goes
Oh,
through, it's the TIE Fighter.
Oh, yep, my number one too. I love the sound of that thing. Yeah, I'm a TIE Fighter junkie. I've got TIE Fighter stuff all over my desk at work, which I haven't actually been able to see in a while. But yeah, love the TIE Fighter stuff. It's pretty amazing.
Whether it's the Interceptor or the Bomber or the Defender, or even the new one that we got in the Mandalorian, the Outland class, which is absolutely ridiculous. The way that the wings fold and it can land. Most TIE fighters have to be supported in another ship for transport, and that one can actually land anywhere.
Yeah. I loved mine in a group as well, but if I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be the Interceptor.
As that's the one I have first, is the Interceptor, followed by Outland class.
Yeah. Now, did you ever play the X-Wing miniatures game?
I have not.
Okay. Yeah. Whenever me and Joey used to play that in a, I guess you could call it a league. But we haven't played since the coronavirus hit, because the place where we did it is closed down, or I think they may have just recently opened up with very limited occupancy, but the league itself is on hold, at least until all of this is cleared up. But the reason I mentioned the X-Wing game is I always played as a bunch of TIE fighters.
Nice.
Love the TIE fighters. And you are right. That characteristic howl of the TIE fighter is it's just the most amazing thing to hear. Love those things. So that was our top 5. Now we do have some questions that we're going to answer. I'm going to try to remember to ask this question of everybody on Twitter prior to the day we're going to record. But we did we got a couple of questions. We got 4 questions total, 2 of them for each of us.
Okay.
These questions come from a rural farm boy on Twitter. So let's start with your first one. He asked you to pick either the E11 or the DLT-19.
Oh, well, I mean, RFB knows me, and he knows what I do for the 501st. So I would have to say the E11, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Very cool. So are you in the 501st?
I need one more piece, and then I am going to submit to get my TK number.
Oh, nice.
Or actually, it's a TX number for Inferno Squad.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. I had started putting my stuff together, but I was gonna start off as a TIE reserve pilot, and then eventually work my way up to a TIE fighter pilot, which actually answers the question that he asked me. The first one he asked me, pick a cosplay that you'd love to do. It would be a TIE fighter pilot. I have the flight suit and the boots, and then things just got in the way, and I haven't finished getting all of the other stuff together. I did place an order for some of the other items, actually a lot of the other items, and right after the virus hit us, the supplier of said items hit. I don't know what happened with them. They had supply problems, and about 4 months after I had placed the order, I just said, go ahead and cancel it because, we're probably not going to see this stuff. And that's probably why I still don't have any of the stuff, is because the supplier basically ran out of pieces.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten
I have a few contacts. If you ever want to get into it, I can.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that offline.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd definitely like to get back and get the TIE Fighter uniform. And I Inferno Squad would be great, but I'm not picky about which TIE Fighter pilot I'm gonna be. I just think it'd be great. So his next question for you is, name a Star Wars novel. Can include a Star Wars novel / book that you don't have yet, and you can include visual dictionaries.
That I don't have yet.
I'm guessing that you don't have, but you want.
Oh man. Oh. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually gotten quite a few. The one that I really would like to get, that I need to go on Amazon and price out, are the From a Certain Point of View books. I know they've did the Empire Strikes Back, but I missed out on the first one as well. So if I had to, if I was to search for one that would be in my library I don't have yet, it would be one of those two From a Certain Point of View books.
Yeah, we own both of those. Those are good. I had the new one that just came out. I had that on pre-order for a few months. Good stuff. The last question he has for me is, what or who is your favorite droid? I am going to have to go with a character from the Dr. Aphra series and go with 000.
Ooh, interesting.
He's a pretty cool variation of a protocol droid.
Wow.
And he's got a mouth on him. It's pretty he's a pretty fun character. I'd have to go with him as favorite droid. If it wasn't him, I will have to give an honorable mention to Chopper.
Another excellent choice.
Chopper's cool too. So so if you're listening to this and you have any questions for us, either about the Mandalorian, or any Star Wars questions in general that you'd like us to answer on the show, just message us on Twitter, or you can Anchor has us set up where you can kind of leave a voicemail, so you can do that. But we love to hear from you guys, and it just at least shows us that somebody out there is listening.
Absolutely, yeah.
And love to engage. So we're going to close things out with a few podcast shout-outs. Do you want to go ahead and start? Actually,
sure, absolutely.
You know what? In conjunction with the podcast shout-outs, you recently just recorded some episodes with some other podcasts. Why don't you tell us about those podcasts?
Yeah, in fact, that's what I was going to give the shout-outs for.
Oh,
I was able to record with Force of Light, which is one of our Red 5 partners, which was absolutely amazing. We had a great time discussing things about this episode of The Mandalorian and what we could possibly even see in the future. So that was a lot of fun, and thank you to those gals over there that that let me join them and get my Star Wars juices flowing that early in the morning. It was a great thing to wake up and be able to talk Star Wars.
Yeah, Force of Light is a fun one.
Yes. And then my second one was I recorded on Sunday with Rebel Scum podcast.
Okay.
It was Andrew Fantasia and James joined us at the end. And we also had another gentleman on there, Phil, and we talked all sorts of things, gave a lot of odds on what we thought could happen. It was a blast. That one will actually be airing on Thursday morning. So while you're cooking your Thanksgiving feasts for your family, as long as they are less than 5 people in the United States, then turn on YouTube and check out Rebel Scum podcast, and you'll get to hear my dustlet tones yet again.
Great. So I also have a shout out I'd like to give, and it is one of our Red 5 family podcasts. It's actually fastly becoming one of my favorite podcasts. They aren't very lengthy, but the material that they go over is very interesting. It's actually University of Coruscant.
Oh yeah,
I really like what he does on there. Yeah. Right now he is currently in a series talking about various Sith Lords. So those are very interesting. The most recent episode that he just put out was on the Old Republic Sith Lord Naga Sadow. So he's a few episodes into the Sith Lord series, and I really like what he does over there. It's very it's fun, and I enjoy listening to it a lot.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's he does a great. He has a great production over there. It's absolutely phenomenal. If you guys haven't listened to that yet, go check him out, and you'll be able to hear his past episodes as well. Phenomenal job that he does.
Yeah. And my other shout out is for, come to think of it, this is also a Red 5 podcast, but it's also really fun to listen to, and it's Pizza and Parsecs.
Oh, yeah. Dave and Liz.
Yeah, Dave and Liz do a good job. Recently married couple. They did a series on the Matrix that was really cool. But they cover it all. They don't cover just Star Wars, and they do a good job of everything they cover. And they've always been strong supporters of Rogue One Radio. Just good people, and a really great podcast to check out if you haven't already.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of our Red 5 family. We have, you can go to red5network.com and listen to any of the shows of all of our members. It's an awesome thing.
Absolutely. You're not really going to find a bad one in the bunch. All right. Well, that is it for our show tonight, folks. Thanks for listening in. Come back next week when we will talk about chapter 13 of The Mandalorian. And let us know what type of Type 5 list you'd like to hear on the next episode. And then also send us out your questions. So come back next week for more sweet tunes and conversations about a galaxy far, far away.